Formula One returns to Imola this weekend, but it might be for the last time. The iconic circuit, rich in racing history, is on the verge of being dropped from the calendar, and not even its sentimental value to F1 CEO Stefano Dominic Calli, a native of Imola himself, seems enough to save it. We'll dive into that controversy later. For now, there are plenty of intriguing storylines that promise to shake up the Grand Prix before lights out. First up, the weather. Current forecasts predict scattered showers for Sunday's race, while Friday and Saturday should stay dry, offering clean track conditions for practice and qualifying. But don't let the dry start fool you. Rain on race day could change everything. As we've seen before, nailing a wet setup can be the difference between chaos and control. And since teams must lock in their setups after FP3, some may sacrifice qualifying pace to prepare for a potential downpour. Then there's the tire drama. Pirelli is bringing something bold to the table, the brand new C6 compound. This will be the softest tire the company has ever produced for F1 use. According to Mario Isola, Pirelli's head of motorsport, the aim is clear: spice up the strategy. More two-stop races. More unpredictability. More action. With the C6, Pirelli hopes to push teams toward higher degradation rates, encouraging creative approaches to pit stops and making race management more critical than ever. On the technical front, teams are rolling out a slew of upgrades, but none are under the microscope quite like Red Bull. The reigning champions are bringing significant tweaks designed to enhance aerodynamic stability, particularly focusing on vertical airflow under the floor. The goal? To improve ground effect efficiency and overall downforce, creating a more balanced platform for Max Verstappen. The team has chosen Imola specifically for this aerodynamic evolution, given the circuit's complex layout and emphasis on high downforce handling, a perfect testing ground for upgrades of this nature. All these factors, from uncertain skies to high-stakes tire strategy and game-changing car updates, make the Imola GP a must-watch. And if this really is Imola's swan song, it looks set to go out with one hell of a show. As the remainder of the 2025 season unfolds, Red Bull faces a critical period where it must determine whether it's still a true contender for the championship. One of the tools that could provide clarity is the upgrade package they've brought to the Imola Grand Prix. Inside the Red Bull camp, there's growing confidence that this particular update could be pivotal. With McLaren currently operating at a level above the rest of the field, the outcome of this upgrade could very well shape Red Bull's trajectory for the rest of the year. However, the Austrian team isn't the only one showing up in Italy with significant developments. Ferrari, too, has arrived at one of its home races with new components, though their approach seems less about flashy updates and more about refining the fundamentals. As team principal Frédéric Vasseur explained, the key doesn't lie in throwing massive upgrades at the SF25, but in unlocking balance and harmony in the car's foundation. While new parts will indeed make their debut at Imola, Vasseur emphasized that solving Ferrari's issues isn't simply a matter of hardware. There's no silver bullet, he noted. Yes, we're bringing a few changes to Imola, and we plan a second set of updates for Barcelona. But the real challenge lies in optimizing what we already have. It's about synergy, about putting all the pieces together. He also pointed out that Imola's layout should suit Ferrari better than tracks like Miami, where they struggled particularly in low-speed corners and with tire management. The curbs at Imola, he added, could be an advantage, provided the team gets their setup just right. Red Bull and Ferrari will also need to keep a watchful eye on Mercedes, a team that has been quietly but steadily rebuilding momentum. In fact, across many circuits this season, they've emerged as the second fastest team overall. The Brackley-based squad is beginning to believe they can regularly fight at the front again. While a full-scale championship bid still seems ambitious, it's not entirely out of reach. Mercedes boss Toto Wolff put it bluntly: "We arrive in Imola with a quarter of the season already behind us. From the first 6 races, we've drawn one important conclusion. The W16 is a clear step forward from last year. It's more stable, more predictable, and that's allowed us to finally build on something real." He added that the focus now is to keep progressing and challenge for wins as the European leg of the calendar kicks off. The team has worked intensely at the factory, and several updates are lined up not just for Imola, but for upcoming races as well. And there's an added boost for the Silver Arrows this weekend, the home crowd energy behind young talent Kimi Antonelli, who will be racing on familiar ground. His local hero status could inject an extra spark into the team's efforts at Imola and beyond. In short, with Red Bull searching for stability, Ferrari chasing balance, and Mercedes gathering momentum, the Imola Grand Prix isn't just another race. It's shaping up to be a turning point in the 2025 championship narrative. In Imola, the young Italian driver will undoubtedly feel the warmth and energy of the home crowd behind him. Coming off a strong qualifying performance in Miami, he may well ride that momentum into something even more significant on this historic circuit. And if he's going to make a mark, now is the time, because this might very well be the final Formula One Grand Prix held in Imola. According to F1 CEO Stefano Dominic Calli, who himself hails from the Imola region, the sport simply can't justify hosting two races in the same country much longer. While Monza has recently secured a contract extension through 2031, Imola's future appears far more uncertain. It's hard to ignore the writing on the wall. Imola seems destined to follow the same fate as the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort, another historic venue edged out by Formula One's global expansion. Speaking further on the matter, Calli said, "Italy has always been a core part of Formula One, and that won't change. But with interest in the sport exploding worldwide, it's becoming increasingly difficult to justify holding two races in a single nation. It's a dilemma we'll need to address in the coming months." It's clear the days of both Monza and Imola sharing space on the calendar are numbered. And while fans may understand the economic realities of a growing sport, it's hard to ignore the emotional weight of this decision, especially when one remembers that Imola stepped up during the darkest days of the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2020, with the world in lockdown and the sport in chaos, it was Imola that hosted two crucial races, helping Formula One navigate one of its most challenging seasons. To see the venue now seemingly cast aside, despite its contributions, casts a shadow over the sport's reputation. It speaks to the uncomfortable truth that in the current era of expansion, legacy sometimes takes a back seat to logistics and market growth. And for all the drivers and fans voicing their support for keeping Imola on the calendar, it seems those pleas are falling on deaf ears. Still, there are plenty of compelling storylines to watch unfold at Imola this weekend. One of the most intriguing? The growing tension inside the McLaren garage. While McLaren has emerged as the most dominant force on the grid in recent weeks, their success has come with internal complications. The fierce rivalry between Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris has taken center stage, and Imola might turn into another chapter in what's quickly becoming one of the sport's most intense intra-team battles. Momentum currently favors the Australian. With 6 victories under his belt, Piastri has officially overtaken Norris as the most successful McLaren driver in the current era. And for the British driver, that puts him in an uncomfortable position. The excuses are running thin. If he wants to stay in the fight, it's time to step up and deliver results, now. But McLaren's dominance doesn't mean they're in the clear. Behind the scenes, there are whispers, and they're getting louder. Rumors are swirling that the team may be pushing the limits of legality by potentially using PCM, or phase change materials, in their car's structure. If proven, it would give them a significant advantage. The problem? It would also force the FIA into a complicated debate about what's permissible and whether the governing body is willing to bend its own rulebook for a single team. That kind of controversy could cast a long shadow over whatever success McLaren finds on track. Another storyline worth watching at Imola is the return of Franco Colapinto. The Argentine driver is stepping in to replace Jack Doohan under a 5-race contract, and expectations are high. The pressure is on. In a sport as cutthroat as Formula One, a poor showing, or worse, a crash like Doohan's, could see Colapinto out of the seat before he's even had time to settle in. So far, Colapinto has shown glimpses of brilliance, but also moments of inexperience. It's a gamble from Alpine, one that could either pay off handsomely or backfire spectacularly. With limited time to prove himself, Colapinto needs to be on point from the very first lap this weekend. All of this sets the stage for what could be a historic and possibly final race at Imola. Between the technical battles, intra-team rivalries, and political drama behind the scenes, this Grand Prix is about far more than just points. It's about legacy, identity, and the soul of the sport itself. So what do you think about this weekend's race at Imola? Do you believe this could really be the last time we see Formula One tear through this legendary circuit? With new venues lining up for a spot on the calendar, is there still room for heritage tracks like this? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And once you've done that, don't forget to check out the video popping up on your screen right now.